Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What the Why with Barbara Ann on RVN Television. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. If you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired or feel stuck and want to get unstuck in your business, job, or life, all of our guests can empathize with you. At some point, many of them felt similarly and decided to do something about it. Today is no exception. Please welcome brand clarity expert, author, and international speaker, Suzanne Tulien. The founder of Brand Ascension, Suzanne has over 30 years of business brand consulting experience and is an international speaker, consultant, award-winning graphic designer, and certified trainer. She's also an authority in identifying and defining a business's internal brand DNA blueprint, creating authentic, distinctive brand value positioning, and building competitive advantage by aligning company leadership and employees to outbehave their competition consistently. Suzanne pioneered the Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence online course and coaching program for solo professionals who want to leverage their wisdom, expertise, and personality to become who they want to be known for, as well as the Ignite Your Personal Brand Presence coaching mastermind and online course program, which helps solo professionals and emerging leaders own and leverage their expertise, personality, and authenticity to live their full potential and get more conscious, strategic, and deliberate in delivering on their brand promise and value position. Suzanne is the author of 3 books, The 6 Myths of Small Business Branding, Brand DNA, and her latest book, Personal Brand Clarity, Identify, Define, and Align to Become What You Want to Be Known For. Suzanne also trains speakers to deliver their expertise to audiences in ways that enlist, equip, engage, and facilitates engaging brand strategy in live events, webinars, workshops, and consulting. I'm super excited to have her joining us via Zoom, so without further ado, please join me in giving a round of applause to Suzanne Tulien, brand clarity expert, international speaker, trainer, consultant, and 3 times author. So, yay! So here's your round of applause. So welcome, welcome. And
thank you, Barbara Ann.
And so glad you can join us. I understand it's very cold where you are right now. And
it's January in Colorado Springs.
Whew. I'm sure it's lovely in July.
It's actually lovely pretty much year round. I mean, we don't get as much snow as a lot of people think we do.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Now, inquiring minds who watch our show for the past couple seasons know that we always ask every audience member after reading their amazing bio, how you've done all these great, 3 times author, international speaker. What did little Suzanne want to be when she was growing up?
Well, if you really want to know the truth, I wanted to be a zookeeper.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I said that's awesome. So how did you get, and one could argue working with the people, I digress. How did you get from wanting to be a zookeeper to a 3 times published author, international, speaker, consultant, and branding expert?
That's a great question. It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it really short. I started to say that after this major aha moment and realization as to how I got here, it's because I was bullied into being a brand consultant.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is I have a why statement, which is appropriate for your show. And if you want to hear it, I can certainly tout that.
Absolutely.
Because I did my own work that I've created and the processes that I've created. But as a child, I was bullied in grade school pretty heavily. And it literally got me to start asking the question, well, who am I really? And why would I want to be like these other mean girls in my school, in my class? And I felt so kind of deflated because of them picking on me and me not being able to really show up as my full potential. So I think that spiraled me into really thinking some existential questions, even at a young age, as to, well, who am I and why are they picking on me and why do I feel like crap when they do that, and how can I rise above this? So lo and behold, 40, 50 years later, here I am helping others really identify and define who they are as a brand, as a personal brand, and step into that potential with a conscious, strategic, and deliberate intention.
Wow. Well, kudos to you for taking, traumatic experiences and finding the gift in that and helping so many others. Explain to our audience, if you could, what exactly is a brand clarity expert?
So I am a consultant, first of all, and a coach. So I help my clients identify and define their authentic attributes that truly make them unique and different. And then it doesn't stop there. I help them align themselves, their actions and behaviors, to literally walk that talk and deliver on that promise every single day so that they can become who they want to be known for, who they know themselves to be at that deeper level, and to pay more attention to being more internally driven than externally impacted, if that makes sense.
It does, especially from a coaching perspective, because you're not letting your outside influence. You've done the work to figure out who you are.
Right. You'd be surprised how many people, even if they don't think they do, actually let their external environments dictate who they are in any given situation. But when you take control back and you really define those attributes that then give your life meaning and create that distinction, it changes the game. It changes everything for them.
How did you figure, I mean, I understand how you got to here, but how did you figure out that especially the focus on branding, that this is where you're going to help people take what they learn about themselves and, realize that into how they present themselves to the world? I mean, that's
a great question. Yeah. I had been in the communications, graphic design, and advertising arena for years. And that's what I wanted to do growing up. And that's one of the first jobs that I had. And subsequent jobs after that just got deeper and deeper into communications, graphic design, and advertising. I ended up starting my own firm, my design boutique firm called ID by Design after I left corporate America. I was a creative project manager in that last corporate job. So I started this boutique and I started focusing on designing, logo designs, which a lot of people think is the brand of their business, but it's just a graphic icon that ends up over time representing the brand. So the real question becomes is, what is this logo actually representing? So when I figured that out, that's really where I wanted to be in life versus putting lipstick on the pig, so to speak, and helping my clients create these beautiful images as representations of the brand, they felt that was the brand. And so they weren't digging in deeper to truly understand that the brand has attributes to it that if we can identify and define and give meaning to, then we can really create differentiation in the marketplace and in their competitive advantage. So when I figured that out, I decided I'm not going to focus on design anymore, and I'm going to help the client really go inward and figure out what that construct is of the brand, which is just literally the definition of a brand is a set of perceptions. And branding is merely the act of assigning meaning to those perceptions that you want others to have of you. So I developed a process around fleshing out what those attributes would be for these companies, even the personal brands, as well as companies with employees. And then once we did that, it opens up Pandora's box in terms of how we can start acting and behaving in alignment with those DNA attributes, and then infusing them into the systems and processes, the culture and the leadership and the vernacular of the organization. So we're all talking the talk and walking the walk at the same time. That's what creates distinction in the minds of your market. So that's how I started doing what I'm doing. And I so much more enjoy that than just putting lipstick on the pig, putting a pretty picture out there.
Yeah.
I actually help change behaviors that align with who they want to become known for.
Wow, that's fantastic. There's so many companies out there that could use your services. To the extent that you can share, what are some of the types of companies that you have worked with? I know you work with both solo professionals, but as well as, I imagine companies that are looking to not be solo professionals for too long.
Right. So I focus on middle market, small middle market size companies, because larger companies might have a brand consultant in-house. So I found the gap at the small to medium size businesses, and I have worked with everywhere from banks internally to dentists, endodontics professionals. Such a variety of a lot of businesses with sales representatives basically at the core of the business, like Charter Media. Even though they're a much larger firm, that was a unique situation where I worked with them for about 7 years. So it just depends. It's really not an industry that I focus on. It's more of a mindset, or what I call a psychographic of their worldview. So if they want to be the Starbucks of their industry, so to speak, and they're ready to do the work, I'm ready to come in and assist them with this clarity piece and getting them walking the talk.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. In terms of moving out on your own, I mean, you went from what would have seemed like a pretty comfortable arrangement working in the corporate world to start your own boutique. And a lot of our viewers are struggling with whether or not they want to take that kind of leap of faith. How did you find the courage to take that chance and believe in yourself and go out and start your company?
Barbara Ann, I think the fear is a symptom of the lack of focus and lack of clarity. And I had total clarity with understanding who I wanted to serve and what I actually wanted to do. I wanted to do it in the company I was working for at the time, but as the intricacies of that company and the people changed within that company and management changed and shifted, I knew that wasn't going to be a possibility anymore for me. So I was determined to then start my own business for the first time ever. This was over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And go out on my own because I knew what I could do to serve my clients. And so clarity, in my opinion, is the basis for aligned action. And when we're not clear, we fumble. We're just out there in the ethers. There's no direction for us. And we become vulnerable to our external environment, impacting our belief system and making us think that we have to stay stuck.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it is out there. But when you get super clear and stand in that value position that you now own in the minds of yourself and others that are starting to see the difference between you being clear and unclear, you can really stand in that value position and step out and do your own thing with confidence. And it's just, like I said before, it's a game changer when you're super clear.
Wow. And in terms of moving forward, I mean, what kind of support system did you have? Or I guess another way that I've asked that question in the past are, Who would you say were some of the people who supported you the most through the process or inspired you to charge forward and do this?
Well, I have to say the inspiration came from my husband because he basically left corporate America and started working out of the home. And I wanted to do that too.
Okay.
I saw all the benefits of that. And I felt like, I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to make that happen. So that was a big inspiration for me. And then my connections to my friends and my clients that I had in this corporate arena directed me towards a lot of great local networking groups. And I started really showing up and getting to know these people in these networking groups and creating relationships. And it's like snowballed into just almost immediately having clients right away. So that was really a great help. You've got to get out there and know your stuff and showcase with confidence. And again, clarity is such a big piece of that if you're not clear, I wouldn't recommend that you leave, especially if you're in an environment that's paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
You've really got to do some planning and get crystal clear on what you're wanting to step into and who you are as a brand, because every single one of us has a personal brand already, because a brand itself is just, again, a set of perceptions. The real question is, I want your audience members to ask themselves, are they in control of it? And if you're not in control of it, then your audience is. And it's probably all over the board. So once you get super in control of those perceptions you want others to have of you, then you can step into that in a very consistent way. And consistency builds trust. Trust creates history. History forms tradition. So it's super powerful to get clear.
Awesome. And I would definitely, believe it or not, we're ready for our mid-show commercial break with our sponsors. And when we come back, I definitely would like to talk more about that, as well as your books and where you're headed from here. So thank you for tuning in for today's guest, Suzanne Tulien. And please come back after this commercial break for more with What the Why. Welcome back to What the Why, and today's very special guest, Suzanne Tulien. And you just saw a graphic of her as you were coming back from the commercial break with her books, 2 of the 3 books that she's written. And also on the screen you're seeing on each side of her, her books that she's written, the brand DNA, Clarity, I think is one of them, and the other one is Personal Brand Clarity, Identify, Define, and Align to Become What You Want to Be Known For. So before we broke, you were talking about helping individuals and companies align with what their brand was, because if they don't take control of it, their audience will. And it's interesting, you see that a lot, where someone isn't clear. To the extent you can share, what are some examples of some of the companies that you kind of helped reclaim their brand narrative?
Wow, having to pick one. Like a middle market size company is a company called Master Drive here in Colorado, and they've got about 6 offices. And they were struggling. They had a lot of history and a lot of great differentiators that over time, as the company grew and grew larger, it got diluted in the company, and they forgot basically why they came to be in business, and definitely forgot about the narrative and the story that they told in the beginning that launched the company. So we brought them back, and they had been in business, 15 years already. And I had gone in there and brought them back to remember and re-educate hone in on and create the construct of those key attributes that made them who they are and created the distinction between their competitors and what it is that they did that was so unique.
Wow.
And they just exploded. I mean, it was just amazing to see how much those employees really wanted something, some sort of narrative, some sort of meaning to hang their hats on and really feel that there was something beyond just their job that they were there working for and working towards. So that was a huge success story. And I love that story about them turning themselves around and really remembering what their brand distinction was, brand DNA.
That's awesome. Yes, because nowadays people really do want to know the why behind why they're working somewhere in many instances. And it sounds like that is really a key focus of your approach, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, with the why. So let's talk about your books. You have one that focuses kind of more on the company and one that focuses more on the individual. Let's start with whatever one you would like to start with first.
Well, I'll start with the very first book, which ended up being my first ebook, and that was probably one of the first ebooks that people had started hearing about. I had to get educated as to what an ebook was. We kind of built this company around the launching of the internet, right? So an ebook was like, what was that? And that's called The 6 Myths of Small Business Branding. And this was the first thing I wrote and put out because of all the interesting ways that my prospects were thinking that branding was, that was not true. And so the 6 Myths also offers, of course, the 6 Truths of branding, which I think is an eye-opening read for companies that are either just starting or really don't understand the power of brand and how much control they actually have to create distinction. So that's the first one. The second one I wrote with my colleague at the time is Brand DNA. And that's for businesses who have employees that want to land on a unique DNA construct that they can infuse into the hearts and minds of their people, systems and processes, leadership, and vernacular of the organization, so that everybody is on the same page and walks the talk and delivers on that promise, so that there's some consistency there and that you can create distinction between you and your competition. That one just exploded as well. And we got a lot of businesses around the country buying that for their employees and then calling us in to actually do some live facilitation around the process. Okay. And that was a great, very interactive, highly accelerated, experiential process that we just loved going around the country doing. And the final one was the latest one was my COVID project. And my heart really is with the solo professional, because I too am a solo professional. And they need to believe, I felt that they need to really understand that they themselves are the brand of their business. And that they could create some distinction by better understanding who they are, what superpowers they have, and what they can bring to the table to create distinction. And once they do that, they can separate themselves in ways that others can't or don't know much about, to really carve out a niche and become who they want to be known for. And that's called personal brand clarity. And did that over COVID, launched it in October 2020. And I've been on a podcast circuit for the following year, and get it on speaking stages and that sort of thing from really the launch of that book. And it's just been amazing, the transformation that's happened.
Yeah. And it's so important, especially in today's digital world, that we are in control. Interestingly, shout out to a friend of mine, Rajiv. His company exists for the sole purpose of trying to kill anything out there that is potentially destroyed people's branding. And it sounds like you would be in a phenomenal next step for them in terms of rebuilding who they are, because they didn't control the narrative. And we see it all the time. I mean,
well, I tell you what happens, Barbara Ann, when we are not clear and we're out there spending marketing dollars unclear, we have no ROI, number one.
yeah.
And the only thing we can begin doing is chase the client if we're not clear on who we are as a brand. So we're pushing information out there versus creating a magnet to bring prospects in. And that's the big difference between getting clear on who you are as a brand and then, or just winging it and throwing money at digital marketing or any other kind of marketing.
Yep. In the nonprofit world, we used to call it chasing the mission, and in the coaching world, we call it the shiny object. Going after every new shiny object or certification or whatever you can to try and appeal to a bigger audience instead of just knowing your lane and your niche. So, in terms of all of this experience, what would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned that you would share with anybody who's, whether it's to go out on their own or to seek out your services or to just get unstuck in general?
I've been saying it through this whole podcast, and I think the number one thing is give yourself the time and grace to get clear on who you are, what your superpowers are, what makes you different, what you're passionate about, what you want to get on top of the highest mountain and scream out to your audience about, because you know there's a way. You've got a solution, and you're the one to provide that solution to those particular prospects. Another thing I would say is no brand is universal. Do not try to please everyone. You'll never do it. You'll never get there. And niche your skill set so that you are identifying and defining that area of expertise and become that subject matter expert. And I'll have to tell you about Rayanne, the last thing I would say is I speak to build business. I don't speak for a living, even though I get paid to speak. It's not my primary job. I train speakers, and when you have a subject matter expertise and you get on stages, you start, really working smarter, not harder, and it's easier to become who you want to be known for on stages of 100, 500, 1,000, etc., versus one-on-one contact. So, think about what that signature talk might be and what your audience would be to hear that. So that's what I would advise.
Fantastic advice. Perfect thing to wrap up on. In terms of anybody who's watching, I mean, they have pictures of your book, but what is the best way to contact you?
Oh gosh, if you want to contact me directly, go to my website. I have a direct contact there, and I'm offering a 30-minute complimentary consult. There's also a Kickstarter, a free Kickstarter toolkit that you can download as a personal brand. So get that package. There's some resources in there that can help you dip your foot in the pool of understanding what brand is and the difference between branding and marketing. Otherwise, I'm on social media, and you can get my books at Amazon and pretty much anywhere else that's major distributor. So I welcome you to come chat with me.
Thank you so much, Susan, for taking time to be here today and talk to us about things that I didn't even know about brand clarity, and I'm sure others didn't. This was fantastic information for all of us. And enjoy the beautiful yet cold, icy weather where you are.
Thank you so much, Barbara Ann. I appreciate it.
And now, as we look ahead to our upcoming guests, you don't want to miss any of them. They include business owners, coaches, authors, technology experts, some gamers, some artists, some entrepreneurs. We've got some athletes, a couple more military veterans, and many people who overcame seemingly insurmountable challenges. You really don't want to miss what any of our upcoming guests have to say about their journeys. And if you've missed any of our past guests and want to check out what they had to say, you can watch all of season 1 and 2 on the What the Why page of RVN Television's website and Roku. You have so many viewing choices these days. Thank you very much for watching our show, and please tell a friend or colleague about us. And as a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and Monday afternoons at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then becomes available on demand through RVN Television and Roku, and coming soon to other channels. And also please remember, whether you're looking to make changes in your life, no matter how big or small, please tune in for more informational, educational, and inspirational conversations with guests such as Suzanne, who overcame whatever challenges or fears or obstacles may have been in their path to clarify their why, find their purpose, and live it.